If I'm gonna go hiking, I still want to put on a little something, something, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to go barefaced out there. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your fave. You know, I'm like obsessed with like RV living and tiny living, and hopefully next year or the following year I'll be living in an RV, traveling North America and living my best life. But obviously, you can't bring everything with you when you live in an RV. RVs, well, I know what kind of RV I want to live in. I want to live in a C-class RV, so they're not as big as the A-class, which are the really rectangular ones, and they're bigger than the Sprinter vans. So they're like right smack dab in the middle of, for me, being too big and too small. This is that I'm going to be picking stuff from my collection. Anything that can fit in this 11-inch, I believe, box for makeup was chosen to come with me in this like makeshift like RV trip that hopefully I go on one day. I have my handy dandy notebook, and so I currently have, so for the first category are palettes. And before I get into all that again, I have like a pretty small, at least for me, I feel like I have a pretty small like makeup collection for the most part. I mean, it's bigger than the average person, but it's like smaller than like most people in like the makeup world, I guess. I don't know. So I have 36 eyeshadow palettes in my collection. But if I were to live in an RV right now, I would bring only 5 palettes and eyeshadow crayon, I guess you can call it. I would bring with me is the Charlotte Tilbury Color Chameleon and the shade Golden Quartz. This is what she looks like. This is what she looks like. It's like a nice grungy army green color, and I think it's just beautiful on the eyes. Since, sorry if I sound like I'm rushing just because like my battery, but since, if you don't know, last spring, so not this past spring, but the spring before, I studied abroad in Germany, and I was traveling like every other weekend, and I know how I am when I travel, and when I'm actually out doing things, to have things planned, like hiking, more like so when I have more like outdoorsy things planned, I'm not gonna want to put on a lot of makeup. That's just how I am, even though like I'm sure the Instagram pics would be, it's just like I'm not wired that way. I'm just gonna probably throw something on the lid and go about my day. This first palette that I will bring with me is this Rowan Beauty 75 Degrees palette. This is what it looks like inside. So I would choose that palette just because, like, again, if I know I'm about to like go hiking, go kayaking, swimming, something that requires a lot of like energy, I'm not gonna want to do like a full face. I have my moments when I do outdoorsy stuff. I want to like look glam, but for the most part, if I know I'm gonna be hiking like 7 miles, I'm not gonna want to have like a pink smoky eye. These next 2 palettes are Pat McGrath palettes, and they are the Mothership 1 and Divine Rose. But I chose 2 Pat McGrath palettes just because, like, you could do real simple looks with Pat McGrath palettes, or you can go really glam. And that's what I really like about these palettes. These have my favorite color stories, so that's why these 2 would be coming with me. So this next palette is the Natasha Denona Love palette. If you don't, I love pinks and purple eyeshadows. They're like my favorite, and this is actually one of my favorite Natasha Denona palettes. The reason, and yeah, I actually have like a backup of one of these palettes, so that's that on that. I love it. The formulation's great, and we stand her in this household. And the last palette that I would be bringing with me is my, you can't go wrong with the Jackie Aina palette. Like, you can go real glam, really soft, and that's why I really like this palette. Those are the 5 palettes and eyeshadow crayon that I would be bringing with me if I were to like drop everything and go on an RV trip. So I have 2 primers in my collection. The only primer that I would be bringing with me is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Filter. I know that's kind of like a universal product, but I use that as a primer. I would also want to give like an honorable mention to the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. I would bring that one with me if I didn't have the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter with me, but I've already like used that one up, and I feel like I much prefer the Charlotte Tilbury one over the Milk makeup. But the Milk makeup isn't bad by any means. So I have 9 concealers in my collection, but I'll only be bringing 2, but one I use as an eyeshadow base. And the one that I use as an eyeshadow base is the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop concealer. That one I hate as like an under eye concealer because it's really matte, really dry, but it works phenomenally as an eyeshadow base, and that's why I would be bringing this with me to my RV trip. I've gone through like maybe 3 bottles of this already, and I have like a backup. So that's how much I love it. But as an under eye concealer, if you don't already know, in this household, baby girl, in this household, we stand the Kaja Don't Settle Concealer. So the Kaja Beauty Don't Settle Concealer would definitely be coming with me on my RV journey. So moving on to foundations. I have 15 foundations in my collection right now. So I just also want to mention, this can change at any moment in time. This is just the 2020 version, okay? So right now, I have 15 foundations in my collection. But I would only be bringing 2 with me on my RV journey. And the 2 being the Bite Beauty Changemaker Foundation. I love that foundation. The best foundations I've ever tried. Probably the best launch of 2020 for me. But so she's coming with me on my RV journey. The other foundation is the foundation I'm wearing right now, and it is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. This foundation, I did a Complexion Friday video on 2 Fridays ago, and this foundation is it deserves all the hype that it gets on Instagram, on social media. It really is that big. This foundation and the Bite Beauty Foundation are impeccable, and that's why I would be out of the 15 in my collection, I'd be choosing the Bite Beauty and the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. So I currently have 8 bronzers in my collection, but I'll only be bringing 3 with me. So the first being the Kosas Sunstalker Bronzer in the shade 3 Deep. That's what she looks like. I don't see a lot of people talking about the Kosas Sunstalker Bronzer. The reason why I would bring the Kosas Bronzer over my other bronzers in my collection is because it pairs well for more natural days, because it is a more luminous bronzer. You can just swirl your brush in there, bronze up your face, and go about your day, and you just look healthy. It also pairs well with more matte bronzers, and we'll get to those in a second. Yeah, the Kosas Bronzer, we stand her. She's great on her own. She's pairs well with more matte bronzers if you want to just kind of make them a little bit more luminous. So the second bronzer that I would bring is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer in the shade 4 Deep. That bronzer is one of my favorite bronzers ever. I know it's really expensive. It's like $55, but it's such a good bronzer. It looks so beautiful on the skin, and it's worth every penny. And the thing is, with the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer, I like it alone on itself, just brushing it all over my face and make me look like I just went running in a field of like sunflowers. I love that look. But it also looks gorgeous when you mix it with the Kosas bronzer, because the Charlotte Tilbury one is very matte, which is fine. I like a cute matte bronzer. But when you mix the two of the Kosas and the Charlotte Tilbury, baby girl, can't no one tell you nothing. Nice. Oh, I can't give those 2 bronzers any more praise. The third bronzer that I would be bringing is the Gucci Poudre du Beauté El 4 Soleil. I don't know. I don't speak French. But if you guys don't come for me. But it's the new Gucci bronzer that's $65. I know it's ridiculously expensive. But this bronzer also just looks so beautiful on the skin. I don't know who over there at Gucci came up with this in this formulation, but I'm going to need them to get a raise. So beautiful. I have it on right now, and it just looks so good. And it just wouldn't sit right in my Negro soul to leave that bronzer here or anywhere, not take it on the road with me. It is a little bit more expensive. Again, it's $65, but I'm willing to take the risk and bring that on the road with me. But also, I'm bringing like a $125 Pat McGrath palette with me on the road too. So I might as well go balls to the wall, you know? Hi guys, Editing Andrew here. So there's a weird cut in this video, and it ended abruptly because I decided to cut this video into 3 different parts because I was looking at my analytics and it was a little bit long. So the first part is, as you guys, if you made it this far, are eyeshadow palettes, foundations, concealers, primers, and bronzers. Then part 2 will be blushes, highlighters, and lip products, I believe. I don't know. There's probably maybe 2 or 3 parts. We'll see. You guys will get it once we get there. But thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so.